Hi, this is Irma. I'm saying hi on August 20th, 2019. It's about maybe 6:30 p.m. at this time zone. And I've just finished having a camp out dinner. Not so much camp out. I didn't make my food, but I did start a fire on my own. And it's kind of smoking out right now. So I've been sort of fascinated at the way all of the elements need to work together so harmoniously um, in order to keep fire going. Um, Fire has kind of been the theme for my trip out here, and this trip was inspired over some recent curiosity that I has been growing in me around spending more and more time in nature. And even though I've done that in the last few years, this time it is kind of going to a different level of experience in that it's more rustic. It actually is also has been for a couple of uh, places I visited has been solo and on my own, and it's involved camping out. As you can see, my abode for the night, for the last couple of nights, is right behind me here. And being a city girl, it is like a huge kind of deal because every small thing that I sort of encounter through my experiences um, has so much depth and meaning to me. And I know that this interest is not one that is new. I know that as a child I enjoyed being out in nature and maybe just didn't have as many or the same kind of opportunities that I have now. And this experience here, like at Yellowstone, the main thing that has come up from spending a time here is just noticing the extremes um, of everything. So the evenings go down to like, they have, last night it was down to like 44 degrees Fahrenheit, it's supposed to be the same tonight. And then the days are up into the high 80s and like super hot. Um, and in addition to that, the park is known for sort of sitting on a super volcano and having all of these amazing thermal um, hot springs and geysers and I forget the third, but then also mud pots that are all stimulated from fire that comes from the center of the earth and the water that penetrates from the sky and into the earth then begins to um, build up heat and eventually for the geysers needs to find an outlet. When it appears as the thermal hot springs, it is so magical because it's extremely like colorful because it actually does house life even through the extremity of its heat, which what I learned today is on average the hot springs here, which is why they cannot be enjoyed by human skin or bodies, is at 175 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm really, there's this whole new appreciation um, about fire that I'm beginning to understand a bit more and sort of correlate that to the life elements with me as a person of nature, a participant in nature. And I think also I'm mostly air. I'm an air sign, and um, and a Libra, and so these extremes are super duper fascinating. And I've been thinking about how I can, in my own self, honor all of the aspects of me while I do it in a way that helps me stay balanced and keep my body safe and really just kind of find equilibrium through the experiences that I'm living. Um, I think maybe it took me to come out here and feel really cold at night and feel really hot in the sun and feel in communication with what the fire needs. And yesterday at a ranger talk, the conclusion was basically that fire is neither good nor bad, even in the forest. It's necessary for certain parts of the forest to burn, in order for there to be regeneration. And I feel that is so true for us as human beings as well. We often fear what comes in what we consider to be a destructive force, when afterwards we are always able to find a newfound strength and be able to rebuild, and start new based on what we learned going through the extreme example and experience. Um, all of this kind of leads to one of the other understandings that I've had and have been practicing in my meditations is that we're in a constant state of transformation. While we have the capability to practice equilibrium and to practice finding balance, despite how extreme things might feel, we are still in a transformation stage. And if we ever are not changing and evolving, it's almost as if we're no longer living in this human form. And with the fire, when I first lit it up, it obviously requires all the four elements. It requires the wood from the earth. It requires air in order to keep it alive, and the oxygen. It also requires tinder, like the pressure, the spark, in order to ignite it. And that's sort of what I am feeling at this stage, this new kind of stage, entering into a new decade of my life. Yet, yes, another one, a whole other part of a century. I'm turning 50. It's my year of 50, so I'm kind of saying yes to everything and keeping my eyes and senses completely wide open, as if I were a girl, almost experiencing all the things that, had I had the opportunity as a girl, I would have experienced then. And the last element with fire is also water. Fire has its own. I feel like it can't be tamed. It knows when to die out, but it also requires the other elements when it's sort of coming to an end. So right now, I smoked out my log fire, and I'm reluctant to pour water on it because I want to light it up again a little bit later. But water would be the element that would conclude this spark for the night. So therein is a whole other story in terms of the power of water, which is something in itself that I've also been experiencing. So I'm not sure whether anything that I talked about resonated, but what I wanted to talk about was just sort of my experience and relationship with the elements as I have lived it through this experience in Yellowstone Park, and in these moments where I get myself out of the city and out of the hustle and bustle. And you hear often from me talk about going outside and learning from nature. I wouldn't say that if there isn't like fascinating things basically to gather just by being and observing. And I gave myself this evening off because I found they've been trying to get from one schedule to another, and I just decided I wanted to come to my campsite, light my fire, and just journal. And so there it is. So from Yellowstone Park, until the next time, hope you follow me on my channel, which is Juntas on This Earth. Ciao, baby.